Hi there, kia ora, привет. I'm Nat and I'm a Russian currently living and studying in New Zealand with my daughter Sophie. On this channel we tell you a little bit about this amazing place and we sometimes do some trips around different places. We live in Wellington but we travel around the country a little bit. So now it's that moment. We finally are on holidays, both of us, because I study at the university, Sophie studies at school. So today we begin another journey. We had one in February. It was north up the North Island, and today we do kind of the same thing but on the west coast. We start with Taranaki, we then go to Hamilton, and then a couple of days in Auckland, exploring Auckland and its suburbs. And then on the way back we go to Rotorua, and then we come back here to Wellington. The thing is, first of all, it's winter now, so it's the first winter in New Zealand for us and we don't really know what to expect. Second, we were quite busy with our studies and we didn't have time to prepare like exactly what we're going to see, so we'll be quite random in this journey. And one more interesting thing is that we are experimenting with transportation, with different ways of getting from point A to point B. It's just the beginning of the journey. We just finished to pack the stuff, so we have no idea how it goes, and we'll just go with the flow. The car behind me is a rental car, and on the way to Auckland we go with this rental car. On the way back we experiment with so-called relocation cars, which is an opportunity to take a car for free and drive for a couple of days and relocate basically. And I like that idea, so we'll see how it goes. We don't know yet because it's our first experiment like that. And let's go! We start the journey here in Wellington, traditionally going to Taranaki today, then tomorrow to Hamilton, and then we go to Auckland, have a couple of days there, explore the surroundings, change the car, and on the way back we go through Rotorua back to Wellington. The distance from Wellington to Taranaki is about 350 kilometers, which is approximately 4.5 hours of driving. And even though it's not that much of a driving, I recommend you grabbing some nuts and fruits and veggies, especially if you're traveling with kids. Egmond National Park is located on the west coast of the North Island of New Zealand, and it covers the slopes of Mount Taranaki. The park is a forest reserve with a 9.6 kilometer radius around the cone of the Dormant volcano. When you look at this park from the above, it forms a perfect circle. The trek we tried to do is called Mangorei Trek to Pouakai Hut. And it's a 10-kilometer return trek, which is gonna cost you approximately 4 to 5 hours. The thing is, it's quite monotonous, so you walk for about 2.5 hours, and this is pretty much everything you see. Although it's really stunning, still it takes some patience and time to get to the hut. Apart from that, the weather can be quite unpredictable and change a lot. And it rains a lot as well, so be ready for that. Wear proper boots and make sure that you can actually do it. So we had quite a ridiculous beginning of the day as we were supposed to go with the flow and be quite random. We were super duper random, and the weather was random as well. So we tried to get to that track. Well, we actually got to the track and we tried to get up, but then let's skip that part. Let's say something went wrong and we decided to go back. Actually, a couple of things went wrong because the weather was also quite dramatic. Like, as we drove there, the huge rainfall started. It stopped in like a couple of minutes, but we were not sure of what's gonna happen, so we decided to go. And then we spent 1.5 hours maybe, which is approximately a half of the trek. before getting at this famous top and hut and seeing the Taranaki volcano itself. So we haven't seen it, we didn't do it because of a couple of different reasons. Anyway, we decided to go to Dawson Falls, which is from the other side of Taranaki volcano. So let's try to do that, and then we have a couple of ideas, but we don't know whether we'll have time for them or not, so let's just do that. There is a variety of tracks around Mount Taranaki for all of the levels. Exactly 200 kilometers of walking and hiking, and the area is divided into the East Egmond area, North Egmond area, and the Dawson Fall area. This one is the Dawson Fall area. This tiny track leads to the Dawson Falls, and it's an 18-meter high waterfall named after Thomas Dawson, first European to discover it in 1885. Yet the Maori name for the falls are known as Te Rere o Noke, the Falls of Noke, named after a Maori warrior who hid behind the falls from his enemies. Taranaki volcano is believed to be sacred by the Maori people of that area. In Maori, Tara means mountain peak and Naki means shining, in reference to the white, snowy upper slopes. Nevertheless, the weather is quite unpredictable, and it's not necessarily you will see Taranaki itself. We woke up in Hamilton today in a super nice, cozy, sweet Airbnb. And the plan for today is going to Waitomo glowworm caves. It's a little bit going backward, honestly speaking, but as our travel equals random and we go chaotically with the flow, that's okay, I guess. So in Waitomo glowworm caves, I really hope that I'll be able to do some videos for you and for me as well. Hopefully it will work. We'll see how it goes. And after that we'll go to Auckland, and then we'll have, I think, one full day in Auckland. I thought we'll have more, but I think it's just one because there's so many things to see near Rotorua, around that area. So we'll see how it goes. Now Hamilton, glowworm caves, Auckland for today, and that's the third day of our weird, chaotic mother-daughter travels. Woohoo! Hamilton, or Kirikiriroa in Maori, has a population of almost 170,000 people, and it's the country's fourth most populous city. Still feels quite cozy and quiet. We had quite a nice healthy breakfast at that place with some smoothies, pancakes and toast with avocado and good coffee. Waitomo village is mostly famous for the cave system around this area. Before coming here, I googled a little bit, and the most popular company that does tours to Waitomo glowworm caves doesn't have the option to do photos and videos there. So I tried to find some other options, and I found guys who have that photo video opportunity, plus they had really good ratings on Google. So I can tell you that I know why they had such a big rating. The caves around the area are noted for stalactite and stalagmites, but mostly for glowworms. Now hear a bit more about it. Arachnocampa luminosa sounds a bit like a spell from Harry Potter, known as New Zealand glowworm or simply glowworm. They are basically the species of fungus gnat endemic to New Zealand, and they prefer some really dark, humid places like caves, basically. Its Maori name is Titiwai, meaning protected over water. What I got is the more they shine, the hungrier they are, so they kind of attract food with their glowing. I might tell you that after all of the cities we visited, the tiny village kind of cities, and after Wellington as well, Auckland seems huge. And at the beginning, you have some kind of Aucklophobia. We arrived quite late, but luckily, as Auckland is a big megapolis, you can have a dinner at whatever time you want. The next morning, we woke up in Auckland and went to my favorite place in Auckland, which is Domain Wintergardens within the Auckland Domain. I know that it may sound weird, but in big cities like Auckland, you want to find your little tiny oasis where you can hide from this big city madness, and this is a perfect place for that. It's a bit like traveling back in time. I don't know, this place has some sort of magic feeling. For me, I love it completely, love everything about it. So just check it out when you come to Auckland. Domain Wintergardens are literally 5 minutes walk from the Auckland Museum, which is one of the most important museums and war memorials of New Zealand. And let this now classical facade and columns not scare your kids who don't like being in museums, because New Zealand museums are nothing like other museums. They're way more interactive and there are lots of things to do for kids. And there are actually a lot of families inside. And it's for free. Woohoo! And even though, as mentioned earlier, Auckland feels super busy, especially after other New Zealand cities, the population of Auckland is about 1.5 million, but there's so many nice parkish areas like lounge zones where you can just walk and rest a little bit and just breathe and feel closer to nature. Weather talking, Auckland seems to be, in my experience, super unpredictable. The weather can change literally many times a day, and sometimes like every 5 minutes or 10 minutes it can be raining, then it can be sunny, then it can be windy, then the weather can change for rain again, and then it's sunny and rainy at the same time. So you definitely need lots of layers and just be ready for everything. This guy was a mayor of Auckland City for longer than anyone else in the office. Meanwhile, when you're traveling with a kid who is always hungry and always looking for some sweets, you have to stop all the time. And this time it was quite a nice place, very French feeling like. The next destination was Auckland Aquarium that was initially opened in 1985. It is not a huge aquarium, but it's pretty awesome because it has some Antarctic ice adventure where you can see the aquariums, penguins, through glass. There's also the area that is a recreation of the hut of Captain Scott that he had during his South Pole expedition in 1912, which is also quite impressive. And there is a shark zone, the seahorse kingdom, and in general that's an awesome place to be with kids, or if you're a super duper fish, shark, penguin fan as well. The next morning, we woke up early, went to the Auckland City Gallery, and then we had to change the car and go to Rotorua. It's prohibited to film inside of the City Gallery, but it's worth going. So we changed the car in Auckland to another one. And on the way here, we were like, let it be a blue Toyota, let it be a blue Toyota. And then we come and that's a blue Toyota. So the thing is, on the way there, we took a rental car. On the way from Auckland to Rotorua and then to Wellington, we took a so-called relocation car, which is for free. So you take it, we took it for 2 days for free with 1 full tank of gas, which is, I think, a perfect deal. I also took the insurance, but it's not necessarily, so you don't have to do it. You can just take a car for free and relocate it to the place where I need it, and there are lots of options. And yeah, a full tank of gas is also a cool thing. So we drove from Auckland to so-called Blue Springs, and it was mind-blowing. It's really beautiful. And some weird birds we've seen as always in New Zealand, and some crazy mind-blowing nature. And now we're on the way to Rotorua, and I have no idea what we'll do there because we are a bit tired, honestly speaking, after all of our travels. Good luck to us. Talking about the Blue Springs, there are 2 tracks leading there. One is an hour and a half one way, and the other one is about 15 minutes one way. We took the second one, but we didn't really know about the existence of the first one till people came to us and asked how to get to the Blue Springs, but they came from the other side. So now I know that they walked probably for an hour and a half. Well, the magic thing about this place, apart from the mind-blowing beauty, is that the water is so pure that it supplies around 70% of New Zealand bottled water. Meanwhile, our nomad nature was calling for us, and we had to move forward and to go to one more amazing, mind-blowing place called Redwood Tree Walk. And as you can guess from the name, it's basically a tree walk, which is about 700 meters long. But the most important thing is that it happens above the ground on 28 suspension bridges with 27 platforms, and it takes about 40 minutes to complete this journey. The height of the walkway ranges between 9 to 20 meters, and the trees you can see around are more than 100 years old. But as it gets darker, there are about 30 lanterns specifically designed for that. And we somehow randomly, accidentally got there by the dawn, so we saw the Redwood Tree walk during the daytime, but also during the nighttime, which is pretty magical. We arrived to Rotorua quite late, so the first and only thing we could do was food. Meanwhile, it was the time for us to go back to Wellington, but we planned to stop in a couple of places. But leaving Rotorua, we felt quite sad because that's definitely the place you want to come back and explore for at least a couple of days. It was also quite chilly in the morning, and everything was covered with frost, and together with the sunshine and with this Rotorua steam, it was quite awesome. Rotorua is famous for its geothermal activities, mud pools, and geysers that I only saw when I was little in Kamchatka in Russia, so seeing it here was pretty impressive. As you can see, the road back was pretty snowy. It was a bit unexpected, but it was a really nice surprise. Me from the future! First of all, I really hope that this video will be helpful for those of you who are planning your trips around New Zealand. If you're a local, well, lucky you. If you're a foreigner, just a few words, like make sure that you spend as much time in New Zealand as possible. I know that from faraway countries this place seems really tiny, but in fact you want to be here for at least 2-3 weeks. Like that's the minimum, because there's so many things to see and to explore, and once you're here you want to do it. That's pretty much it for today. I really hope you enjoyed watching the video. I hope this will be helpful for those of you who are planning similar trips, and stay tuned, stay awesome, and spread the love for travel.